Ira Thor, Assistant Director of Athletics at New Jersey City University and CoSIDA Academic All-America New Media Committee member. And we are joined today by Katie Bacher of the MIT Women's Track and Field and Cross Country teams. She's a senior middle distance runner from Macungie, Pennsylvania, and she is your 2020 NCAA Division III Women's Track and Field and Cross Country Academic All-American of the Year. Katie, congratulations. I'm sure that all sounds really exciting. And for you, after being selected as a CoSIDA Academic All-American 3 times, 2018, 2019, and 2020, twice now a first-team selection, what was your reaction when you learned that you were voted the prestigious Academic All-American of the Year for all of Division III?
Still very much in disbelief. When I was notified by MIT that I had received this award, they told me that one of the only previous recipient from our program was Marianne Gong, and she was a senior when I was a freshman on the team, and just absolutely a huge role model and inspiration for me, both in running, but also as a student. She was in the same major, and to kind of be following in her footsteps with this award it's kind of unbelievable.
Well, it's a great honor, and I would say this would be at the top of your resume, and it very well might be, but with some of the other things we'll talk about during the interview, it might be not maybe 4th or 5th on the list because you're doing some remarkable things. And I did want to touch on your track and field career first. You're a 3-time All-American in indoor track and field. You finished as high as 2nd in the distance medley relay as a freshman, and you were a 4-time New England Division III champion. What are you most proud of that you've achieved on the track or the course or cross country during your MIT career?
I would definitely say some of the team events. So as a mid-distance runner, I love competing on relays. I think the energy and the excitement that goes into the DMR or 4x8 is so much fun. So definitely, I remember that first time competing at nationals on the DMR. I was thrown into the event about an hour before the relay started. I was supposed to be an alternate, and I just remember stepping onto the track and just not even being able to hear myself think on an indoor track when you have that many people cheering and screaming for their team. I was just racing on pure adrenaline, and that was so exciting and so much fun. And then, we ended up placing second, and I was just an incredible experience. And pretty much every time I've competed with that DMR, it's been that same level of energy and excitement and so much fun. And, our Division III regional meets have also been so much fun because we always try and go for the win as a team. We're always competitive. It's always, neck and neck with us and Williams. And the times that we as a team have pulled out the win have been when every single person is stepping up and saying, what can I do to help get points for the team? And those are some of the most fun victories because everyone across the board is succeeding and helping to make that possible as a team. So those are definitely some of my favorite memories from competing with MIT.
Well, what has it meant for you personally to not only compete, but also to attend MIT, which is one of the most prestigious academic institutions, not just in the country, but in the whole world?
Yeah, it's definitely crazy to think about it sometimes, but for me, one of the greatest things was just really finding like-minded peers, my teammates who love to compete and want to achieve at the highest level in their sport, but then are also, super smart and achieving great things in the classroom and in the research labs, and being surrounded by people that are just incredible and inspiring every day. That is one of the coolest parts about being MIT is just the environment that you're surrounded with, the people that are around you. It's pretty incredible.
Well, MIT's got some other cool things, and we'll talk about one of them right now. You have a 4.0 GPA by itself is impressive. You've achieved a perfect 5.00 GPA. You have a double major in electrical engineering and computer science. A 5.00 GPA. I think most of our audience watching this will be curious how that works. Can you explain the MIT grading system?
Yeah, for some reason, I guess they just want to, say we understand it's hard that these courses you're taking, and so they do it on a 5.0 scale. So as A is worth 5, B is 4, 3, 2, and then 0 for an F. So I think they just it's a little recognition from the MIT administration that they acknowledge that things can be hard, and weight the GPA scale accordingly. But yeah, definitely a
As
little
I
unusual.
I was gonna say, as I joked with you, if you're smart enough and high achieving enough to get an MIT, you deserve to have your own grading scale. So you chose a double major in electrical engineering and computer science. What intrigued you about these courses of study?
Yeah, I guess just one point. It's not actually a double major. The way MIT has it set up is it's sort of a hybrid dual combined major. So I get to take classes from both the electrical engineering side and the computer science side.
Hmm.
Um, and it was actually one of the things that drew me to MIT is that they did have this combined major. I always sort of knew growing up that I wanted to study some math, science, engineering. My dad's an electrical engineer, and so I sort of figured, like, oh yeah, I'll follow in his footsteps. We always loved the same sort of things, and growing up, it's like, if you like math, science, you probably like engineering. And so definitely he was the one that sort of started me on that trajectory. And then as I got into high school and I got to sort of experiment with coding a little bit more, I really got into that. And so I really enjoyed at MIT that I kind of got this hybrid, get to work on sort of the physical circuits and whatnot, but also getting able to code things. And I think having both really allows you to kind of make things and then bring them to life so that people can interact with them and use them. And that's really what drew me to the major, and part of the reason why I enjoy it so much.
Now you're going to be attending grad school, pursuing a master's of engineering in computer science with a concentration, and I had to write this down, in human computer interaction at MIT. Tell us about
Mhm.
this program. What is it, and how does this fit into your career goals?
Yeah, so this is a really nice program at MIT. It's essentially just a fifth year master. So I, did my 4 years of undergrad, and then with one more year, I can get the master's degree as well. Essentially, there's some coursework requirements that I was able to complete even while I was finishing up my undergrad, and then the last component is doing research. So for the next year, I'll be working in a lab and writing a thesis. And so by the end of next year, I'll hopefully have finished a thesis for my master's degree, and I'm going to be working in a data visualizations lab. So this was working with a professor. I actually took his course this spring, and I just absolutely fell in love with the material and was really intrigued by his lectures and the talks and the works that I was doing. And so after the course finished, we decided I'd be working in his lab for the next year. So I'm super excited to pursue that, get more introduction to this field, develop my skills a little bit more, and we'll see where that takes me beyond.
And we should also congratulate you because you've won a $35,000 fellowship towards your graduate studies in the Siebel Scholar Fellowship. So congratulations for that. And I want to talk a little bit about some of your internships. You've really done some fascinating things. I think our audience will be intrigued as well. Your first one was at Apple last summer. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, that was a really cool experience. I was out in the Bay Area in Cupertino headquarters for Apple, working at their new spaceship building, and it was a really awesome work experience. I was working on the touch and sensing team, so the group responsible for basically all the touch screens and like the watch device or your iPhone or iPad. So that was really cool. I got to work on kind of a fully contained project. I, was working with another mechanical engineering intern, and together we built a device. I worked on the coding for it, and then got to run experiments and test it, and then present back to my team. So really cool, very fulfilling experience, and definitely informed sort of my future goals.
That's really cool. And you'll be doing another one this summer that's really intriguing, working with Peloton Interactive. What do you expect to learn from this experience?
Yeah, I'm super excited to work at Peloton. It was sort of I figured it would be a good fit in both, combine my interest in fitness and sports, but also with the tech side of things. So I'm going to be doing software development for them, working on their e-commerce team. Really excited, going to work on some more of my web development skills. And yeah, excited to sort of see, I'll be working entirely remotely, so that'll be an interesting experience, but fortunate that I at least still have a position and a job for this summer. I'm very excited.
Now, you were an undergraduate researcher in the MIT Media Lab. Among your work, you developed a mobile application to facilitate user interaction with wearable devices, and that helps people who have attention deficit issues. Can you tell us about this work and other work that you did in the MIT lab that might be of interest to people?
Yeah, this was a really cool project that I worked on in the media lab. Essentially, the lab had developed a pair of glasses that had a couple sensors on them that could monitor brain signals and look at maybe your eye movement and infer things like your focus and intention levels, your cognitive workload, things of that nature. And so what they asked me to do is sort of develop a way of reporting this back to users so that they could get a better understanding of their cognitive habits. So you think much of the same way that we have, these wearable fitness devices to track sort of our physical activity over the day, we're looking at having something to track sort of our mental activity over the day, maybe be able to see I'm really unfocused in the mornings. Maybe I should think about rescheduling my 9 a.m. meetings for later in the afternoon when I'm more attentive. Could also be used to give like real-time feedback for people that may be driving or in meetings to sort of like give you a buzz if you're falling asleep or not as focused. Or another use case they were looking into is trying to help kids with attention deficit disorder. Again, trying to refocus. So it was some really interesting work and some pretty neat applications for that.
All of this sounds really interesting, and you have definitely have a bright future ahead of you. And I do want to talk about some of your community service as well. I don't want to overlook that. You've performed so much of it during your MIT education. Which was your favorite experience and why?
A couple of things come to mind. I'd say definitely I did some things with Tau Beta Pi, which is our engineering honor society. One of the things I worked on was I worked in sort of a neighborhood food pantry in Cambridge. And this was a really cool kind of eye-opening experience. I'm used to sort of living in my MIT bubble and, I'm working and living there and going to classes and sort of forget about the community at large. And so this is a neat experience to kind of go in and, I was stocking food in a food pantry and you sort of realize, I'm on this meal plan and I never have to worry about that. And it was nice to be able to connect with, and realize, there's people that don't have that food security and just see that play out in sort of our backyard and right next door. Really sort of a good reminder of, how fortunate I am to be at MIT in that institution and important recognizing of giving back to the community. So
Well
that was
said.
definitely a pretty cool experience. Yeah.
Well said. And then the last question I have for you, and it's actually was where we turn it over to you and give you a chance to thank people who've been helpful and important to you in your journey, both as a student and a student athlete.
Yeah. I mean, to be successful at MIT, it doesn't happen alone. It happens with a huge team of people. Of course, one of huge thanks to my coach, Coach Taylor. Definitely a rock throughout my MIT career. He's tough and demanding and has high expectations, but he really pushes all of his student athletes to achieve it the best they can in their sport. And so, very grateful to him. And also just the MIT athletic department as a whole, from the administrators, the athletic trainers, the whole staff really work tirelessly to support the student athletes, make sure we have the resources we need to be successful, both on and off, in our academic and athletic pursuits. And I think, a lot of times people think at an academic institution like MIT that sports are kind of, pushed to the side and aren't really prioritized as much. But I think the MIT community as a whole and the athletic department plays a huge part in making sure that isn't the case, that the athletes are very well supported and that they have everything they need to succeed. And that was, exactly what I was looking for during my academic and athletic experience in college. So huge shout out to all of those people that make that possible.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. That is Katie Bacher of the MIT Women's Track and Field and Cross Country teams. She is your 2020 NCAA Division III Women's Track and Field and Cross Country Academic All-American of the Year. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.